right, so this is just a very short video, and it's showing the basics of the process. So we're and just watch for a minute, and then I'll slow things down when I'm guiding you all through it. But basically, we're starting in a laying flat position. If this position isn't comfortable as it is, laying flat on your back, some people would put something under their head. That's common to support under the head. And putting something under the knees, like a rolled up blanket or a towel or a pillow, is if having a little bit of a knee bend, sometimes that helps the comfort of the lower back. So that's a possibility for any of you to consider. We're going to take a few minutes in this laying on the back position. We're going to do some breathing. We're going to do some relaxing first. And then, as you'll see, then the second position we're going to go into is what we call the open diamond shape or the butterfly position. As you can see, Jonas's feet are together, his knees are hanging wide. Now, this position here, Yolanda, might potentially be irritating for the sciatica. I'm not sure if it will be, so I wouldn't make an assumption, but in case it is, you're going to go to, instead of doing this position, you're going to have your feet flat and your knees are going to be tall. So that's going to be the alternative if this is not a comfortable position. Many people like, so we're going to be in this open diamond position for a few, maybe 30 seconds, maybe even up to a minute, because we're going to just allow for the stretch. Some people like to put a pillow or a yoga block underneath both of their knees, and the reason to do that would be if just this position's a little uncomfortable, maybe for your muscles or your hip joint or something like that. So keep in mind that you can always use push cushions to make yourself more comfortable. Always a good idea. So after we take a moment kind of resting in this middle position, then you're going to, and I would say this part's kind of optional, but if you're able to, we're going to lift the hips up in the air, kind of like a bridge position. If this is too difficult, then bring your feet flat and your knees tall, and you could do that lifting position from a more stable position. That's another way to do the bridge position. If the bridge position's a little bit too challenging, just based on whatever your physical condition or constraint is, just skip it. It's not necessary, it just is a little bit helpful. So we spend a little time with our hips lifted in the air if we're doing that. When we do that, we're going to try to focus on relaxing and breathing and not working too hard. And then we're going to come back down to the floor, back to the same open diamond shape. And here, what Jonas is doing is he just lifted his knees closer towards each other by about an inch or two, and he's already beginning to get a little vibration in his muscles. And then he's a little bit later, he's going to bring his knees together again, and he's getting a little bit more of this quiver, and he's just trying to stay relaxed and stay breathing. Then he's bringing his knees a little bit closer again. He kind of adjusted his feet. That was fine. And see that now we're getting a little bit more movement through his body. And then finally, he comes into what we call the top position, and his feet are now flat. And and the tremoring is continuing because it's like we started it up, and you can see that some of this gentle movement is going all the way through his spinal column, which is part of the process. That doesn't mean that that will happen for you. Everybody's tremoring is a little bit different. It might be a big movement, it might be very small, it might only be in your legs, or it might be in other parts of your body. All of this, none of that is right or wrong. Any of those stages is a good beginning point. When we're done, we're just going to come into this laying flat position again. This is also a way to take a rest. While we're tremoring, the way that we'll take breaks, and I mentioned taking those breaks, we'll just lay flat again, and then we can go in and out of laying on our backs, back to the position, laying on our backs, back to the position. And that's that's the basics of the process that we're going to follow. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen because that's enough of a view of what we're going to be doing. Um, and as I guide you through it, I'm going to be explaining things again. Let's go ahead and situate ourselves resting flat on the floor, flat on your back. If you need something under your head, if you need something under your knees, that would be good. Karen, if your camera can tip downwards a little bit, that would put you more in view. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Yep, that looks great. That looks great. Yep. Yep. And so just everybody get comfortable in your laying flat position and just take a moment to start to relax. And I'm going to lead you through a little bit of a body scan. So noticing just the way that your head is resting against the floor or the pillow, noticing the weight of your head against the floor, bringing your attention to down your shoulder blades and noticing the way that the shoulder blades rest and make contact with the ground, and observing how each of your arms is laying and where how you can feel your arm touching the floor and the floor supporting the weight of your arms, and then bringing your attention back to your spinal column. And if we come from the base of your neck and we come down your spine to the section that goes between your shoulder blades, what's called the thoracic spine, just noticing the way that that part of your upper back is making contact with the surface of the floor. That's perfect. And then coming down the spine a little bit more, noticing that as you get into the lower back, that's where we have the curvature, the lumbar curve lifts a little bit away from the floor. So there's a little bit of space between your spine and the floor typically. And then if we keep going down, we'll get to the very base of your spine at your pelvis. So your sacrum and your tailbone, the very, very bottom of your spinal column, usually is a very clear place of connection to the floor, noticing the sense of that. And then just observing how each of your legs, from the hip joint to the knee to the heel bone on both your right and your left leg, just noticing the way that you're making contact with the floor there as well. And if there's anything you need to do to position yourself to improve your comfort, whether that's tucking something under your knees or your head, feel free to make adjustments like that at any stage. Let's all take a couple of slow breaths together. So we'll do a nice slow breath into the body, big breath in. Nice relaxed exhalation. That's perfect. We'll do two or three of those. You follow your own speed. So nice, easy breath into the body. Nice exhalation, even kind of like a sigh of relief, that sort of a feeling. Just go one or two more of those breaths, just following your own speed. That's it. That's it. Good. Perfect. And then, just in the spirit of relaxation, let's do just a little bit of gentle movement with the shoulder blades, kind of like shrugging them or wiggling them or rotating them, making circles, just something that kind of just wiggles your shoulders, your neck a little bit. You could even do the same thing for your legs if you want to. Just this idea of loosening up your muscles and your bones a little bit. Yeah, great. Everybody that I can see is looking really great. That's great. Great. And then just to make sure that our belly is relaxing, let's all put our hands on our belly for a second. Just rest one or both of your hands somewhere on your stomach. Find a good spot that feels comfortable. And let's take a slow breath where we're filling up our breath there, lifting the hands with the breath. So lifting the belly with the breath, releasing with a sigh, maybe two more times at your own speed. That's it. That's it. Yeah, these kinds of breaths are a good way just to release some of the tension that usually, we have kind of hanging around on our core. Okay, everybody's looking excellent. So we're going to switch into that second position, that open diamond shape, where as in our video, we saw Jonas had his feet together and his knees wide open. So let's come to that position. And Yolanda, you can decide whether that feels okay for your sciatica. If it doesn't, just have your feet flat and your knees tall. That would be your alternate position. And so, whichever of those two positions you're in, with the diamond shape or the knees tall shape, our job is just to relax and breathe into this position. Notice that this has changed the position of our pelvis just a little bit. You might notice that there's less space between your lower spine and the floor because of the movement of the pelvis. Those of you who are in the open diamond shape are probably feeling a stretching sensation in your inner thigh muscles. Let's all take a few more breaths together in that belly direction. So slow breath into the belly. Nice full release. 2 or 3 times. That's it. That's it. Perfect. Excellent. Everybody's looking really great. So the next thing is going to be that little bit of a bridge or lifting the hips position. And remember that that's optional. So if you can lift your hips, great. Go ahead and do that. Notice that your muscles are activating to do that. Your gluteal muscles, your spine, parts of your stomach, your legs. We're using a lot of muscles to lift the hips away from the floor. And I want you just to relax and breathe there. Only hold it as long as you can before it starts to feel a bit challenging. If it starts to get a little challenging, just come right back down to the floor. Everybody has a different threshold, depends on kind of if you're doing this type of exercise or not. So there's a lot of factors. But we'll spend up to about maybe 20 or 30 more seconds at most staying in this position. So everybody relaxing, taking breaths. That's it. And some of you might already feel the beginning of a quiver or a vibration. That's great. We're in the waking up stages of the neurogenic tremor reflex. That's the reflex we're trying to work with here. All right. So let's come back down into that open diamond position. So your pelvis is resting on the floor, or the knees tall and standing tall position, whichever is going to be better for you. And come back into this idea of just relaxing. Maybe checking with your shoulders again. Maybe they need a little wiggle. Maybe your jaw maybe you could open and close your jaw a couple times if you want to. Some of us have tension in our face. That happens to me sometimes. Sometimes I like to kind of make funny faces, just wiggle my face in different ways. And I'm doing it now, so at least you guys know I'm being recorded for posterity making weird, funny faces. So you know you're not alone if you try to do that as well. Doing that as a way just to help stimulate and then relax some of those upper body muscles. Yeah, perfect. And let that go. And let's all take one more nice slow breath together. Big breath in. Relaxed breath out. Great, great. Okay, very nice. So now what we're going to do next depends a little, it's going to be slightly different depending if you're in the open diamond shape or you're in the tall position. So I'm going to first talk to the people in the open diamond shape, and then I'm going to talk to the people in the knees standing tall position. So if you are in the open diamond shape, close your knees an inch or two as though you're closing the covers of a book. It's so that there's less space between your two knees, just like we saw with the video with Jonas. Find a spot where you can stay there for a little bit and just kind of relax. I'll come back to you. Now, if you're in the knees standing tall position, you're going to do the opposite. Wherever your legs are now, just widen your knees by an inch or two and find a spot that's comfortable. Pause there and just sort of relax. And for those of you who are in the knees standing tall, we're going to be kind of going out for a while and then come back in. And for those of you who are already in the open diamond shape, we're simply going to be coming in step by step by step. So that's how we're doing it. Yolanda, does that make sense to you? So whatever your vertical was, just a little bit more open?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, perfect, great. So everybody just staying relaxed, breathing. We're going to take up to a minute or two in each of these positions, and we're going to waiting until we start to feel eventually, it might be right away or it might take some time, the activity of this little quivering in your muscles. Now, um, for Yolanda and Karen, since you're on camera and I can see you easily, when you start to feel a little bit of a quiver at some point, give me a little, like, wave your hand or something. That'll be my signal that, okay, you're starting to feel a little bit of something. Okay, so Karen's already there. Great. All right. Perfect. So let's move to the next increment. So for those of you with the knees wide already, come up another inch or two higher. And Yolanda, with your knees tall, open a little bit as well. So come a little wider than you are right now. That's perfect. Choose, find that spot, take some easy, relaxed breaths. Maybe even a little bit of a sighing sound feels good for your sighing is a nice way for your diaphragm to kind of let go of its tension. Hmm. That's right. That's right. That's good. Yeah, okay. So, Yolanda, that means you're beginning to feel a little bit of tremor. Is that right? Okay, great. Now, if for those of you who this is new for, like Rita and Yolanda, if you are starting to feel a little bit of this tremor reflex, check in with yourself, make sure that it feels okay, that even if it's a little unusual, that it feels safe, because this is meant to feel safe and healthy. It's a natural reflex. If it's ever feeling a little stressful or worrisome, that would be then just bring your legs long, give yourself a rest. There's no problem with taking a rest at any stage as we go through this. When you're done resting, you can just come right back to where you were, and things will just continue from there. All right, so let's do our movement again. So if your knees are wide, come a little closer than they are, another 2 or 3 inches higher. And if your knees are started in the tall position, go even a little wider than you are now. And that's it. And make check in with your shoulders, your head, your breath. Make sure you're staying kind of relatively relaxed. Mhm. Perfect. That's good. Karen, are you still feeling some tremor response there?
Yeah.
And it's feeling fine, feeling positive?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. For all three of us, Karen, Rita, and Yolanda, let's do a little bit of rolling of your head left and right. Just a soft, easy roll. That's just a reminder for the neck to not, just be relaxed and smooth. That's it. Back and forth. And then shift to an up and down direction as though you're nodding yes in a slow, easy way. Doesn't even have to be a big movement, just a little bit of that up and down movement. That's it. Good. And then let your head relax at neutral again. All right. Let's do one more increment. So if your knees started wide, come even closer now. And Karen, I would come even a little closer than that if you're okay with it. If you can make a smaller space between your two knees, just, yeah, okay. And if you started with your knees tall, open a little bit wider, as wide as you can go without there being too much discomfort. So you're kind of doing the opposite position. Yeah, that's it. That's great. Relaxing and sensing whatever sensations, vibrations there may be, taking some easy breaths. Good. And Yolanda, are you still feeling a bit of quivering there? You could just give a thumbs up if you are. And does it feel okay? Say it feels safe and fine. Great. Okay. Good. And Karen, I see more things starting to happen. It's not just your legs. There's some movement in your arms and shoulders. Does that all feel okay for you, Karen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, good. All right. So then let's all come to the same top position. And what that means is now the feet will be flat, about 4 or 5 inches of space between the 2 feet. The knee is more or less vertical. So and and relax and see if you can allow that vibration to just sort of continue. So even though we're no longer in kind of a stretching or fatiguing position, some of this vibration might continue to move through your body. So just take a moment, see if you can feel that and if you can allow that to happen. We're only going to go for a little bit here, and then we're going to take our first official break in about maybe 20 seconds or so. Great. I'm seeing some good breaths, some good relaxation. Quick check in with you, Yolanda. Now that you're back to the vertical position, do you still feel a quiver? Or, like, I guess thumbs up would be you still do, thumbs
Yeah,
down.
I
Yes, you
do. And in fact, it's my kind of into my pelvis and abdomen a little bit too.
perfect. And that feels good, feels safe for you?
It's still okay.
Okay, perfect. Great. And Karen, are you feeling okay with the way the vibration is right now?
Yeah.
Okay. And Rita, I'm not trying to ignore you, but I can't see you and you're on mute. So, but if you need to get my attention, just come off mute, ask a question at any time. Are you okay, Rita?
Yes, doing fine, thank you. I do feel the quiver, mostly
Yep.
inner thighs, and then a
Yep.
little bit up into the pelvis as we come up to the top. Yes.
Okay, wow. Okay, everybody's on the same page. We're doing awesome here. So let's take our first official break because I want to show you that it's easy to take a break and that there's some benefits of that. So we're just going to come into a laying flat on our backs position. So laying long. If you need something under your knees, fine. You could even, if you prefer, you could even roll to your side if you want to. Whatever feels like a nice resting position. And we're going to rest for about a minute or so. Resting is a good time to sort of check in with your breathing, your relaxation. It's also a good time to sort of ask yourself, all right, how's this landing in my body? How's this landing in my nervous system? Am I feeling good? Is this sort of relaxing so far? Or is this a little bit energizing so far? Um, or is there anything uncomfortable happening that I should maybe be aware of or monitor? So it's a good way to check in. Perfect. Now, um, so so resting is great and it's really healthy to work in the cycles, like I mentioned. You could stay resting longer if you want to, or you could even decide that the tremoring you already did was enough. Maybe that was the taste that you wanted for today. That's completely fine. If you'd like to continue and do a second round of the vibration, when you're ready, just bring your knees tall again, back to the top position, and just relax and wait. And sure enough, if you're patient, that quivering will start. Your body will know how to just pick up that reflex again. You could take a breath or two while you're observing and waiting. That's it. That's it. Good. And again, as your body will just find its way back into a bit of that tremor reflex. Once in a while, it doesn't sort of come back immediately. That's okay. We can always find it again. I'll just explain that just in case anybody's having that concern. What you can do if you want to kind of go looking for it is leave your feet flat and just play with bringing your knees a little bit wider. You could imagine that your legs are kind of like the antennas on an old rabbit ear antenna for a TV. Remember those old TVs? And you move the antennas around to kind of catch the channel, you tune into the channel. Well, you can do the same thing with your knees. If you feel like you're not feeling the vibration anymore, you could just experiment with opening and closing a little bit, fine tuning your position, and you may be able to find the tremor again. Great. Good. Yolanda, just a thumbs up if are you feeling it again? Yes, you are. Um, Rita, I'm hoping you're feeling it again. You can uh, let me know if you're having any trouble. And Karen, it looks to me like we can see some vibration. Are you feeling okay with that, Karen?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Yeah, so we're in our second round. Maybe this round, maybe we'll probably go a little longer this time, like 2 or 3 minutes. But if you want to take a rest at any stage, just do it and just come down whenever you need to. Good. Now, Karen, I'm thinking a little bit about what you told me about, and so I'm gonna give you some ideas, and anybody can do these if they want to. They're very simple things. It's not rocket science. They're just things to help encourage some relaxation in the body. So, Karen, I'm wondering what it would be like if you took a big breath to your upper chest, expanding your rib cage a little bit, and then releasing with a sigh. That's it. And then making sure that your shoulders are loose, so doing a little bit of moving like we did previously, a little bit of gentle rolling of your shoulder blades, just so that they're not feeling stuck in any way. Yeah, that's perfect. That's good. Yep. And then we could all do a little bit of gentle rolling of the head left and right in a soft and easy way. Soft and smooth, just making sure the neck feels free. That's it. Let that relax. And then we could all do a little bit of that jaw movement, opening and closing the jaw, or sliding the jaw left and right a little bit, or even kind of wiggling the face, or even using your hands to put a little bit of touch on you could rest your palms on your face. You could do a very gentle massage with your fingertips. These are ideas that if you're in this case, I'm giving some ideas for Karen to consider having to do with helping things flow through her face a little bit because of what she described. But these ideas could kind of apply for anybody. Yep, great. Just do as much of, any of those ideas, whether it was your neck, whether it was breathing, whether it was using your fingers or moving your muscles in your face. Just do as much as feels good. And if it's feeling a little bit, tiring or you don't need to do it anymore, then just relax again. hmm Great. Now we're going to do about probably 3 more minutes of tremoring. And so I'm going to give an optional break. So you could take another break right now if you feel like that would feel good. If you feel like you don't necessarily need a break, that you're enjoying what's happening, then you could not take a break. So that's your choice. If you do take a break, then do the same thing we did last time, which was just relaxing, checking in, make sure you're feeling good. And whenever you feel that you've had enough of a rest, then just come back up into the tremoring position if you want to. Great. Mm, that's good. Yeah, everybody I can see is looking really good.
Alex, last time I had trouble getting the tremoring on the right side,
Uh-huh.
and I wonder if you have any suggestions for that.
Uh-huh. You mean in your right leg? Is that what you mean?
Yes, and
Are
right
you
arm
having,
as well.
oh, I see. Are you having that trouble now or you're just remembering that?
No, I'm having it now as well.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah, a couple of ideas. One is, let's start this way. With just your right, leave your left leg where it is, but with your right leg, just bring it outwards a couple inches so it's sort of to the side, and then that creates a little bit of a difference. And you could even go back and forth with that leg, so it sort of comes up again and then back, creating just a little bit of a flow. Yeah, back and
Oh, that definitely
forth.
helped.
Yeah, so it kind of woke up the muscle. So that's one way to do it. So that seems like and for your shoulder, if your right shoulder is not as active as your left shoulder, then what I would do is like maybe wiggle the fingers in your right hand, or even make a soft fist, or even just do a little random wiggling of your right shoulder, maybe shrugging it or making just a wiggling movement. Sometimes just using the muscles of an area that are a little bit stuck helps them wake up and start to get more involved in the tremor response. That's great.
Yep.
Another thing, and this is more of a future idea because we're going to wrap up in a second. But the other idea, Karen, and David likes this one a lot. I like it too, but he especially likes it, is leaving one leg up and the other leg flat and then revert and switching off. And sometimes when you only have one leg in the air and the other one's flat, it kind of makes your pelvis, it's asymmetrical, and so one part of your muscles work and then the other parts work. And that's another way to kind of create some variation for your tremoring. Yep. And it's a very normal thing that the body's not symmetrical, that we might feel a little more activation on one side, and that's okay. A lot of times we'll have a little bit on one side. It might even switch then to the other, and then the first side might get quiet again. And there's nothing particularly wrong with that. But if that feels, but sometimes it's nice to play with things a little bit the way you have, Karen, just to see if you can kind of increase the stimulation a little bit. Perfect. All right. So I don't want to overcook anybody in our session here today. So let's all shift into our laying long position one more time, and we're gonna do in our final integration pause here. So resting. Notice what it feels like to shift back in towards stillness. I mean, there might even be a little bit of leftover vibration, but in general, your intention is to sort of let everything settle back down towards stillness. We're going to take about a minute here, breathing, relaxing, soaking in whatever the after sensation is from this process. Good. And taking it slowly and at your own pace. I'm going to invite you to roll to your side. You may choose to pause on your side for a little while. And when you feel ready, gently coming up to a sitting position. Do that slowly so your blood pressure doesn't have to make a big adjustment too fast. So at your own pace, working your way back towards an upright position. That's it. A good thing to do following the session is to get a little bit of extra water would be my recommendation. That sometimes this doesn't feel like a lot of work, but it's a fairly significant thing for your nervous system and your muscles. So getting an extra hydration would be good. And yeah, so that would be my recommendation.